what a day! What a lovely day!
Welcome to Flat Earth Debate Uncut and After Show. I'm your host Nathan Oakley, and if you are new to this channel, or you've not done so already, then be sure to subscribe and hit the bell notification icon to keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. If you'd like to support the channel, there is a super chat that runs alongside each of these shows while they premiere. There's also a PayPal, Patreon and crypto link in the info box below the video. Most importantly, if you'd like to join the show, you'll have to wait till it's live, but in the meantime, I'm going to shout out a few of you Patrons that do support me, so a massive shout out of appreciation to Abraham Mohammed, Adam, Adrian Quintana, Alistair Main, Blue Ridge Ranger, Burn Fat Till My Stomach Is As Flat As The Earth, Chow Yun Cat, Chris Hillman, Dank, Dave Rakia Gafford, David Robinson, David Wayne Foster, Daz Studio 68, Dick Earth Skeptic, Edwin Johnson, Erwin Jennisons, Felix Hung, Fireball X, Godrockin, Henrik86, Joshua Balsemo, Kirsten Smith, Liam Nedrick, Life is Short, Maria Neeland, Matt, Missouri Bear, Muted, NA Literalist, Nagara, Nathan Thompson, Naibai, Rob H, Skeptic936, Steve ALM, Texas Mike, theflatearthchannel.com, The Real Gabster, Tina Baker, Unbelievable Productions, and Windrider. So a massive shout out of thanks and appreciation to all of you for supporting me on Patreon. Now we are joined by a few people in both Discord and G Plus panels, so I'll raise the mic on them and you can enjoy their dulcet tones while I set up for today's live show.
Good. Just got a little tummy ache over the last few days, but other than that, good.
Lydius was wrong.
What's that?
Oh, hey, Deathman. Oh, it's just something
sorry.
we were talking with Nathan about. That could possibly be an issue.
Did you say what I said?
Go on, Neil. Sorry.
It said, is it going to be the Nathan and Ed today?
So we didn't talk about...
What?
Didn't talk very much about SpaceX being fake, did we?
Well,
No, it was
it's
the
so
Nathan
obvious.
and Ed
I
Free
think we
show.
just let it go.
Other than a quick mention at the beginning of the pre-show, me saying, oh, space is fake, you can't have a gas pressure without a container, as I was running away to get coffee. Other than that, just what needs addressing? Nothing really.
Well, I was watching.
Go on, Righteous.
Go on. Oh, I was just going to say, we actually watched the SpaceX, a little bit of it on Discord, and we all had like a live reaction to it.
I watched it.
10th Man, you were saying something before I cut you off?
Yeah, no, I was saying I watched the first one I watched was from space.com. It was like a 4-minute, 15-second short version of it. And just looking at it looked fake. Then I started scouring to see if I can get some more footage. And, you know, when anyone with their two eyeballs could see the Earth changed from convex to straight, and then saw that ship on the water, the landing ship, and it cut out right before the first stage rocket was going to land backwards. And the next picture they see is the rocket landed, but you didn't see the landing. And then the rockets themselves in the image, glowing hot red, but no refraction whatsoever on the image of the Earth behind it, no changing, manipulating the shape of the Earth because of all that heat behind the rocket. Now, we all know if you're looking at something and there's a lot of heat signature in front of you, that something about that image behind it will be warped. Nothing whatsoever.
That's a good point.
I mean, I can just go on and on and on. It was so phony, it's ridiculous.
Nah, it was real.
It even showed the Earth being convex at one point. I mean, not concave.
No, that's what I'm saying. It showed 3 different versions of the Earth. And what does the baller say to that when you see the Earth change like that? Now, they either have to say it's the camera, right? They either have to say it's the camera, because they're not going to say the Earth changed.
Can I answer your question? Did they show them landing on the ISS or no? That they don't show that, right?
No,
Yeah,
they
I don't think
showed
they
from
ever
the
showed that.
docking. They showed from the imagery, the CGI imagery, and all that. There was a camera on the module going to the ISS, and then there was a camera, two different cameras, I think, from the ISS looking at the module. So they would interchange between the two and show docking from up the supposed up there, but no one on Earth saw it, right?
Sorry,
No one on Earth
just
saw it.
quick question. Where's up there?
That's what I'm saying. The supposed up there.
Fake region.
What's the supposed up there?
Well, they
That's what I'm
said
saying. Did they
in the
have a live
commentary
shot of
that
it?
they said in the commentary that they were in lower Earth orbit. So according to the words in the commentary, up there was lower Earth orbit. But if they're meaning space, they're it's a violation of the second law. So that's the supposed up there. But again, these are their words. So, but it's interesting when you look at the module coming to the ISS in the imagery from the camera from the ISS. The nose cone is opened so the docking mechanism could be seen. And the nose cone is casting a shadow onto the module. And we know shadows from the supposed moon shadows, right? So then I'm looking at the shadow of the nose cone. I'm saying, okay, for the nose cone, if this is real, if they want me to believe this is real, that shadow is here, so the sun must be over here. And then when they flip back to the ISS, the whole front of the ISS is lit up and no shadows. And so that means that's coming from a different direction. So they even got their lighting all wrong.
So let me get it straight. We're critiquing the lighting of the models.
Yeah, they got us talking. Yeah, you're right. Yeah, we're having fun here. It's a pre-show.
Sure. But I'm just saying, so the lighting of the models and the set and the stage that they use, whatever that may be, that's what we're critiquing. When the claim that they're laying down is that the models, once filmed, are supposed to be in a place called space.
That's right.
Well, that place is
the
fake.
Context.
So, yeah.
Low Earth orbit.
Yeah, that's right, Nathan. That's the context in which we're talking about it. We're not giving any validity to it whatsoever.
Except man.
Yeah.
You know what one guy said to me? One guy
What?
said to me, if special effects are so good, then they would show you everything.
So, hang on. The special effects are so good.
Everything in this context is space, and they're showing you space. That's the only bit they need to sell you on and get you to believe, and that's precisely what they're claiming to show you with their models.
Yeah.
In other words, what Tent was talking about the docking back down, they could do that. So why are they not doing that?
Yeah, so can Thunderbird
Because
2.
it's real.
So can Thunderbird 2, though, can't it?
What's that?
Thunderbird 2, if we're going to assess the lighting of models, if you expect me to believe this is true, is the same as saying if you expect me to believe that Thunderbird 2 can X, Y, or Z, or is behind the sun when X, Y, or Z lighting condition on Thunderbird 2, these are models. Well, how do I know they're models? Well, because the place they're claiming they are isn't real. They haven't filmed real things in real places, they've filmed models on sets. Because the place they're claiming they are isn't real. Therefore, what can it be? Well, it's a play, isn't it? It's a production. It's a show. Well, shows have set pieces with outside effects that they use models for. Like Star Wars, or Red Dwarf. They use models. Or Thunderbirds. They use models. And that's what we're looking at. We're not looking at reality.
But the rocket is taking off, though, right?
Say again?
Is the rocket taking off from where they say?
You can send a full-scale model that's a different version of the model from the ground up into the sky. But then when you see the bit that they're claiming is real space, then you're seeing models. Right. Doesn't mean you can't have a full-scale model launched from a launch pad for people to watch that section of this fakery. Yeah, rockets can launch into the sky. Yeah, we have fireworks. That's fascinating. However,
Yeah.
you can make a full-scale Thunderbird 2 and launch it into the sky, and then cut to the models on strings, but which are exactly the same shape and look the same because they're the same scale. And you can't get any scale other than the fake CGI Earth in the background turning concave.
There was something about this model and their fakery to fool the masses that they're in space was that the foil that it's just amazing to me that they got foil anyway. But anyway, the foil just behind the rocket was like space winds were hitting it. It was flapping in the wind, kind of a thing. And I'm saying, well, that's an interesting sight. They're supposed to be in space, if that's what they say space is, a vacuum, blah, blah, blah. And then I was watching another, actually clearly put a nice commentary out. And he said, well, if they're going to say that's vibration, then why isn't the camera vibrating and everything shaking? Which was a good point. So they made so many errors in their model depicting space, which they can't go to in the first place, that anybody who would just look at the videos and just say, what do you see? If you didn't have to pick a side of the argument, what do you see? Everyone would catch it. It's that terrible.
That may be true, but what I would do is I'd get to a bit where they've got a picture of the Earth, and I'd say this black bit here is claimed to be space, this bit here with the clouds and stuff, that's high pressure gas, and the second law of thermodynamics dictates that the one would want to fill the other. It would want to fill the available volume, that gas. Therefore, everything in this imagery is fake. All of it. Because it's claimed to be somewhere that can't exist. So that's how I'd debunk it.
Yeah, that's the best argument. But they're doing such a poor job of their models that you can't help but laugh. And oh my gosh.
The reason I'm critiquing this 10th, and I know I'm giving you a hard time here, is because
I know what you're doing. Keep doing it. I like it.
They want that. They want us to argue about the CGI and about the high wire and about the scale models and about the pool, because the whole time, an argument about whether or not the outside EVAs or whatever they call them are filmed in a submersion tank, right? That argument, let's say I win the argument and prove that some of the EVAs are filmed in a submersion tank. I prove it beyond all doubt. What does that prove? Well, it proves that this particular footage that I'm critiquing at that particular time has been faked. One piece of footage has been faked. And they go, well, maybe they just got mixed up. You know, obviously, they've got lots of footage from the submersion tank. Yeah, they just justify it. Easily justify it. If I win that argument. Or if I win the argument about the light and the shadows. Whether or not the sun could be in the right position. Maybe they got the time wrong, would be their reply. In other words, easily brushed to one side. But if I say, how is this gas violating natural law? There's no rebuttal to that, and it instantaneously debunks every single image they ever present from space. Space can't be real. It isn't real, it violates natural law. End of argument. No rebuttal, no, oh, maybe the natural law wasn't applicable that day. Maybe the second law of thermodynamics doesn't apply to Earth, which is the rebuttals we get to that argument. Well, au contraire. No, second law of thermodynamics is a natural law applicable always and inviolable. So, no, it won't just have a day off for your photos from space. Space is fake.
Well,
yeah, absolutely. But see, I know what you're doing. That's why I'm doing what I'm doing, so that you can do what you do even better.
Fair enough. Make the arguments. There's loads of flat earthers making videos about the fakery of the CGI, and with a few exceptions, Dilly Gill is one of the best in this respect. Most people are just pulling apart the fakery, which leaves you in a null when they just hand wave your rebuttal and pointing out how fake it is with the photography or the model sizes or the cameras or the shadows or the whatever it is that you want to pick apart. Well, I think that just buys into the argument. You know, same principle applies to, can rockets work in space? Let's argue about whether or not rockets can work in a place that isn't real. Can the lamp burn in Narnia? Does the snow settle in Narnia? That's what you're arguing about.
That's why I'm telling you, it was funny as heck, though. Spurs Chemo put out a video, a recording of him watching this whole thing with the ballers together.
Yeah, I heard
this was hilarious. And so I happened to stumble upon it, and I said, "Oh, this should be interesting." So I'm listening to Spurs as these things are occurring, and the ballers are saying, "So what do you got to say about that, Spurs?" Say, "Oh, that's not a rocket now, and that's not, you know." And Spurs is going, "Well, it's you're violating the second law or something." He said he went to it, and they're just like, "Oh, you, there's no help for you, right?" And Spurs is just ruining their day by just keep harping on them. And I go, and I left a few comments like, you know, pass the beer nuts and someone bring me a beer. This is gonna be fun to watch or something, and then I put something up like, Spurs, you have a unique way of offering therapy.
Did you hear when he said we should be seeing a mouse soon?
Yeah, that's again. I think that sort of thing, arguing about whether or not there's a mouse running around in the rocket booster in space. Well, you prove that it's
No,
not a
he was
mouse; it's just a visual anomaly.
was-
They prove that. Does that? They will take that as them proving space is real.
Yeah,
No,
I
they
know.
do. That's the whole. That's why they put the mouse there so they could have an eyewitness.
Well,
Like I
hold on a
say,
second. I got a question, but we don't believe that the sky's a vacuum, right?
no, it's not about belief. It's about natural law.
Okay, so then it's not a vacuum. I know that.
Correct. The sky cannot be a vacuum. It's a violation of natural law. No belief required.
So then what is the sky?
I must say, the Spurs thing kept me laughing.
Yeah, because they want to go to these red herrings. Look,
Yeah,
the
it was
rocket has
fun.
been seen from the ground, therefore space is real, therefore we're on a globe.
It's so easy to fool a baller. It's nonsense.
Yeah, what have you got to say about this now? Look, out in space. No, the gas would be filling it. Is there a point that you've shown in this video where you showed the gas particles having a little party and stopping, not filling the space anymore?
Oh yeah, that hippie gas particle with the glasses.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. No, you know, your audience knows that the best argument is just cut them at their legs, which is it's a violation of natural law. But you know, just to fill up the pre-show time, we're laughing at their nonsense as they're trying to defend a model that they made up to pretend they could violate natural law. They can't even get that right.
Yep, it certainly seems to be falling apart at the seams as it stands. Globe Earth's not got a great deal left in the tank.
Yeah, I mean, I've among people who see the fakery, I've had these talks, obviously, and prior to the housekeeping question, you can't have gas pressure without containment. And like you said, to show a picture of their supposed ball in space and say, "What's that black stuff?" They're going to say, "Well, that's outer space." Say, "Well, what's this thing here? Is that the Earth?" "Yeah." "Well, what's that white stuff in the air?" "Well, those are clouds." "You mean the atmosphere?" "Yeah, right next to the black stuff. Gas next to a vacuum." That's a big miracle you got there.
Yeah, that ain't happening. that's why it's fake. That's
ain't
a
happening.
violation.
That's right.
That's a stone cold violation of the second law of thermodynamics right there in those pictures. So, yeah.
So we're
Yeah,
bringing
ain't
their
happening.
model down, but see, I'm still confused about because I don't believe we're on a globe. I think we're inside of the firmament. So, in my opinion, rockets can fly there because I don't think it's a vacuum.
Well, yeah, we see rockets. It's not difficult to validate that things can fly in the sky.
It's Let me see if I can help Neil here. At least I think I know what he's saying. So, in order to have gas pressure, you need containment. You're referring to Genesis in the firmament, which I and you agree on that in Genesis it talks about a membrane of some kind that God made, and he called it the firmament that separates the waters from below from the waters from above. So, in our field of view of how that works here in this conversation, everything from the ground up, meaning Earth, to the firmament is sky and atmosphere. So, rockets can fly in that space only. There is no
Right.
outer space. End of story. You can have
Yeah, I
gas
agree.
pressure.
But the sun, the moon, and the stars is inside the firmament, correct?
Well, it says that. It says that he made the earth first. And then later it says he made the sun, moon, and stars and placed them inside the firmament. So, yes, it's all inside.
Right. So there's no outer space. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, there is no outer space. But you would need a container to have a vacuum.
Yes, I agree. I understand that.
So you'd have to have, it's not. If you're going to take the biblical view, the Genesis story, then that's it. Okay, so that's what Christians and Jews who believe the Old Testament would stick to. That's the Genesis account.
Right. And he does say he's given earth to man, but the sky is his dominion, right? The heavens.
Yeah, now heavens, and again, you have the glory of the sky, you have the glory of the luminaries, as Paul says, and then actual heaven where God's throne is his.
Yeah.
So
where the-
depends on what context you're going to say that.
Gotcha. The new thing they're saying
Sorry
is,
to interrupt.
well,
just
if you don't
'cause-
believe there's gas pressure, I mean, if you don't believe the sky's a vacuum, then you don't need a container.
Sorry to interrupt a second, Neil. Just want to show my audience, just because it's, well, I'm interested in it. My diffusers have arrived, so I've just stuck them on camera and unboxed them. I'll stick them up later.
Oh,
very exciting.
More live delivery. More live delivery reports.
Yep. Got 2 diffusers. I don't know if my room's big enough to use them, which is why I bought some little dinky ones. They're normally massive, but I've bought some little dinky ones. I'll stick them up and I'll see if they make a difference. And then if they do, I'll consider buying some like expensive ones. But these
Well,
are
I can tell you right now, the difference they'll make is dinky.
difference they'll make is what?
Dinky. It's a term we use. It's a dinky difference. So it's a small difference they'll make.
Oh, I see. Sorry, I'm going to have to go on mute because I'm going to rustle around too much otherwise.
Go ahead.
So, 10th man, did you hear me?
Yeah, I did. Say it again while he's fixing his
They
diffusers.
say, well, if you don't believe the sky's a vacuum, then you don't need walls for gas particles. You don't need a container, which I don't know where they get that from.
Well, hang on. If the sky is not a vacuum because we have atmosphere. So if you don't believe the sky's it's a malformed question to begin with.
Yeah, and
For
they
a
said
statement.
then you don't need a container to hold.
Well,
gas
why would I
pressure
need?
in.
No, it's a malformed statement. If the sky is atmosphere, if they're talking about the atmosphere within what's above us,
Right.
well, how's that atmosphere contained? Well, it
Oh, I
can't be
agree.
in the vacuum. What Nathan's trying to tell everybody is that the gas particles move in every direction at high speeds. If it's next to a vacuum, it's going to move in the direction of the vacuum. And the vacuum is infinite according to them. So it's not going to be contained. It's just going somewhere. So that means all the oxygen on Earth and all the other gases would just go into this vacuum. That is not happening. And because that is not happening, is because the only way you can have any kind of pressure is to have containment. We already know that. Demonstrated every day when you drive your car and have pressure in your tires. It's so obvious.
Yeah, my response to them was you need a container regardless. If the sky's a vacuum or not. And we know it's not.
But see, if you're going to...
you wouldn't have gas pressure.
The reason you and I could talk about the fakery of the SpaceX is because we both agree on what this topic means. Because we know you can't have gas pressure without a container.
Welcome to Flat Earth Debate Live. I'm your host, Nathan Oakley, and if you are new to this channel, or you've not done so already, then be sure to subscribe, hit the bell notification icon and join button if you'd like to become a Nathan Oakley 1980 channel member and keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. If you'd like to support the channel, there is a super chat that runs alongside each of these shows while they are live. There's also a PayPal, Patreon and crypto link in the info box below the video. Most importantly, if you'd like to join the discussion, simply mute the page you are currently watching, then click the link in the info box below this video to join the panel and express your views on the nature of Earth. If you do join, please don't swear. If you do, you'll be ejected, and if you are, please don't try to rejoin the stream using sock accounts. You'll be warmly welcomed back on the next stream. Please also share the show on social media. Sharing the show obviously increases the live audience, but this in turn increases the chances of a more diverse panel, so please share the show on Facebook and Twitter. And one last time, if you're new to the channel or you've not done so already, then be sure to subscribe, hit the bell notification icon and join button to keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. Now we are joined by 10th Man, Paul Hall, and a whole bunch of people in Discord, so welcome one and all.
Good morning. Good morning.
Hello, hello, hello.
Hello, hello. Any signs of a physical geometric sphere edge horizon formerly known as Earth curve?
Not from Baldwin Park, California. Oh,
Any evidence?
so enthusiastic.
It's okay, we'll rattle our way through them if people aren't that keen. Any signs of axial rotation of the Earth-based variety?
No axial rotation of the Earth-based variety. We'd know it if there was.
Well, they claim Coriolis deviation, we don't see any of that. Any scientific evidence of gravity?
No, there's just a name, Nathan. I mean, if anybody looks into it, it's a force, but it's not a force, but you can think of it as a force. It's an effect caused by the bending of space-time. And it's just a word that means weight, as Paul said before, gravitas. And they take that word and they hijack it and try to make it mean something that doesn't even exist.
But it still gets me down.
Any single
That
viable
sounds like an ELO song.
Any single viable hypothesis from any of the fields of astronomy, cosmology, or astrophysics?
None whatsoever. Not from Dr. Becky, not from Michio Kaku, not from Neil deGrasse Tyson. All they can do is observe something. After that, their scientific method is not open or available to them.
What about the other guy?
The other guy?
Brian Cox? Brian Cox?
The Dr. Faulkner guy.
Oh, Danny Faulkner.
Dr.
He's
Faulkner's not
strong.
going to provide scientific hypotheses. You've got to be joking.
Well, lately, he's sending you to YouTube videos, right?
Hello.
Yeah.
Hello, Owen. Any
Yeah.
evidence of the distance to the sun?
It's over there, I think.
No evidence for the distance.
Oh,
Any evidence of the R value, Earth radius?
No.
oh yeah, QE found some evidence.
You lie.
No. I tried to present it. Yes, they are presented right now. There you go.
That's not evidence for the R value. The proof of R, 17%.
Well, that's it.
That's R for red herring
Or red wine.
or red wine.
Do we have distance to the sun already? Any evidence of the distance to the sun?
No, yeah, you asked that.
R value. Any evidence of a self-perpetuating molten iron core at the end, at the center of a presupposed spherical Earth?
Not at the center, not at the end, not at all.
Well, then what's
Nope.
there?
Okay, the last I've saved deliberately for last, because there was a couple of days ago we had a SpaceX launch, and a couple of people on the opposing side of this argument have got all excited about their rocket launch. So the rebuttal to any claims of things like rockets in space or orbits or anything like this is the following question. Any evidence that you can have gas pressure, like we're all breathing, high pressure gas, without the necessary antecedent of a container to press upon? Any evidence of gas pressure without a container?
None whatsoever.
The Earth is an open system, or
Let's not go into that yet, Arwin. Any evidence that you can have gas pressure without a container? Just fix that
No.
for now.
well,
Just to
the
that
only
question.
evidence would be is that you would assume that all things are not in a container, and then that would be the evidence.
Okay, that assumption is a violation of the second law of thermodynamics, though, isn't it, Arwin?
Yeah, until you prove it, though. But how do you
Natural
get
law,
there?
natural law, self-explanatory and inviolable.
Let me try.
Hold on, just
Let
one
me try
second.
with-
Hold on 1 second. Just 1 second. No, we're dealing with natural law, Arwin. So, no, it's not an assumption that's okay and valid until proven false, for the sake of argument. Or just waiting to be proven true, but we definitely know it's true anyway, because we made a really good story up about it. It's in violation of natural law, applicable always and inviolable. Nothing will be violating these natural laws that are applicable always, and in this instance, gas pressure would fill any available volume it has to fill. Now, in the case of the heliocentric paradigm, they have an available volume called space, and the gas, by way of natural law, will want to fill that available volume. Now, the fact that we have gas pressure here at all proves beyond all certitude that the sky is definitely not a vacuum called outer space.
So, Arwen, to the question, a yes or no, can you have gas pressure without the necessary antecedent of a container?
Probably not.
Definitely not. Definitely not. Stands in violation of natural law. You definitely can't have the gas pressure that we're breathing without containment. And if the available volume of space the gas has to fill is space, outer space, a sky vacuum, then fill it must, as dictated by natural law. In this instance, the second law of thermodynamics, the entropy law. The gas would fill the space. We wouldn't have any gas to breathe if the sky was a vacuum. Now, they claim we have an open system capable of them traversing the gas pressure that we all breathe and entering a vacuum without anything impeding them. Well, that, again, is a stone-cold violation of the second law of thermodynamics, because the gas that they traverse, that's going to want to move in high velocity in all directions to fill the available volume. The available volume being the place they're claiming to travel to. Therefore, the place they're claiming to travel to, outer space, is fake. All pictures or missions or travel claimed to have taken place in the sky vacuum known as outer space are automatically fake. SpaceX believers, with your presupposed orbits and your sky vacuums, it's all nonsense. You don't have to like it. Natural law, second law of thermodynamics. I'm done.
Yeah.
Oh, Nathan, by the way, it's kind of funny that you bring all that up in such detail, because I've been watching the Space Force series on Netflix, and they literally had this moment where there was a launch, and it's like, oh yeah, we're launching, and then you see it going like, oh, the video feed got cut off. Oh no, we're all worried. What's going on with it? And then like one of the guys is like turning on a computer. It's like, click. No, it's in orbit. Hooray! We did it! Yay!
Oh, so they're
Just like
reaffirming the fakery where they have the transition period and they have to cut to CGI and lose the feed and all the rest of it in reality. They've just kept that continuity with the fake dramatisation so that people have the idea that that's all normal or just everyday problems that they have to encounter without putting two and two together, that the bit that they're losing transmission is where they're actually entering the place they claim to be going, which is a sky vacuum. But in the dramatisation, they also show you it going wrong. I love it.
Yeah.
Well, I think that good question, and I've asked this before after learning it well here on the show with the back and forth debates. Do we live in an open or closed system? To start off there with people, and they have to, unless they're on it, they have to hang on. It's been a while. And then they say, oh, well, we live in an open system. Great, you make it very easy for me. You can't have gas pressure without containment.
In reality, as per the second law of thermodynamics, the system we live in must be closed. If it's open, by way of entropy, the gas is going to escape. But it needs to be closed. We need to be in a contained system to have the gas pressure we're all breathing. That's the bottom line. You can't have gas pressure without a container. We must be contained.
And if they say closed, they contradict everything that the space agencies say. And if you look it up, if I'm not mistaken, in an open system, energy and matter could have free movement. But in the closed system, only energy and matter cannot go out.
Yeah, it's got to be open because they've got claims that they're sending out these giant rockets to the sky vacuum. So there can't be anything in the way. You can't have a, great big... what do they call it in Spaceballs? Forgotten what they call it. The container that they put around Druidia.
Oh, right.
Well, say membrane or container or something.
It's the air shield.
Air shield. The air shield that they put around Druidia would preclude things from leaving. So, like in Spaceballs, they get around that with a little hatch that they open. Well, none of those narratives are prevalent in the heliocentric religion. It's an open system next to a sky vacuum violating natural law. Simple as that.
Maybe they just run out of energy.
So notice, for the audience's benefit, during this conversation, we haven't had any need whatsoever to discuss CGI fakery, whether or not the rocket would work in space, whether or not the pictures have been doctored. All of that is immediately by the wayside, by way of the fact that they have claimed these pictures come from Narnia, a fake place. So rather than arguing about whether or not the snow would settle in Narnia, or whether or not the time dilation would cause problems with the burning of the lamp that they have in the crossroads that they get to through the wardrobe, or how the time dilation problem works when you go through the wardrobe, you don't have to argue about any of that because Narnia's fake. Likewise, you can't have gas pressure, like we're breathing, without a container. We must be contained to have gas pressure. The fact they claim we're in an open system next to a vacuum and the gas would fill the space means we don't need to argue about the images they show us, or what they might represent, or what they claim they are, or where they claim they are taken from, is fake. Just say it's fake, and prove it with natural law. Hey, Chocolate.
Good morning.
We're just going over the SpaceX stuff. We're just going over the SpaceX stuff, pointing out that you don't need to go through the fakery of the CGI, or the logistics of the travel, or the amount of fuel they used, or whether or not the fuel would work in the vacuum. None of that's necessary. As soon as you disprove the place they claim they're going to, that would be out of space. Because the sky vacuum would be an available volume for the gas we're breathing to fill, and it must. Oh, what do you know? We've got got Druidia on screen. So this barrier isn't there in your heliocentric worldview of a sphere in a vacuum flying around the sun. This isn't here. It's just space, a vacuum. Not this kind of vacuum. This is nonsense because it would have to create a differential in the bag between the vacuum and the vacuum. No. Nonsense. This is just claimed to be 10 to the minus 17 Tor in the worldview that's about as real as this picture. That would be sphere Earth in a vacuum. And without this barrier, the gas inside is just going to want to fill the vacuum. That's natural law. So we don't have this bit. This bit's fake. The bit they claim they're going to with the rockets, the space bit, the vacuum bit, that's all fake. Everything they ever came from that area is all fake. Automatically. No need to argue about any of it, other than the fact that the place is fake. So we don't have to argue about Narnia and how the logistics of Narnia work. It's Narnia. It's fake. Space. Fake. No need.
I'd agree there's no need, but I have actually been having fun with it. just because the fakery is so fun to point out to people. It's like I'm showing people this stuff and they're looking at it. Like the normies that believe this stuff, they're looking at it like, is that real? That looks like a model. Or what happened to the rocket footage? Like they just happened to lose signal at the crucial moment when this thing is supposed to land, and then 10 seconds later, magically, there it is. Like it's just been fun.
Yeah,
But I understand. Obviously, none of this crap is happening in a real place. So, but yeah, it's
it got
fun.
a lot of
We tried to
criticism in years
contain
gone
it in
by
the
for the
pre-show.
fakery of the landing on the pad out at sea. So they've just cut that bit out now because people take the piss out of it and just have a connection loss, and then look, it's landed.
It's so bad. Like everyone that I showed that to, they were like, "No way, are you kidding?" Because it's not even like when they cut back to it. It looks like it just landed. It just looks like it was sitting there for 10 minutes already. They just cut back to it like, "Oh, there it is." It's so blatantly ridiculous. Oh man, it's great.
Like I say, that's the least of their concerns. The place they just claim they've come back from is a fake place. So let's say, for the sake of argument, we carry on this line. So somebody listening in goes, "Oh, that's a really good line of attack. I'll have that line of attack," and point it out over and over again. And then one day they say, "You critic, come and watch it happen live," and they show you a cylindrical rocket landing on the ground before your very eyes, and you go, "Oh right, so it can be done then." And they go, "Yeah, therefore space is real." That's what they'll do.
All right, that's cool. They'll just have to prove that that's where that came from.
Exactly. The crutch of the argument isn't about the fakery or whether or not it can land or whether or not the rocket would work. None of it's relevant. Where did they say it went? Space? No, we don't need to concern ourselves with how you faked it. We know you faked it. You didn't go to space.
Yeah, but you know what? I have to say, like, it's just based on a conversation I just had like 20 minutes before I got on here, right? So I showed one of the one of my coworkers that very footage, and what he said was to me, like, he used the analogy of, if you see a roach, you're pretty sure that there's other roaches, like somewhere hidden, a lot more roaches under the cupboards and under the house that you don't see. He's like, "Well, I feel like you just showed me a roach, man. Like this bothers me, and it's gonna make me think like there's other shit." And I was like, "Bro, you have no idea." So just showing him that footage gave him the inkling to say, "Hey, there's obviously something wrong," because everybody was waiting for this moment, and then they magically cut. So for some normies, like, they have to start on some type on that type of level, because I've told him about the gas of space and all this, the vacuum, and how it just can't, it's not possible. None of that took with him. But I showed him this, and he was like, "Wait a minute, wait a minute." So everybody's got their level where they got to start. So
No, I totally get it. It fascinated me the day I got here. First, one of the earliest videos I made was about the fakery of the moon landing, because it suddenly opens up that door, and you go, "Wow! So therefore, all of that must be fake. Let's have a quick look at it. Oh my god, look how fake it is! I must tell the world." Whereas, had I had known better, I'd have just gone, "Yeah, they can't be going to the moon. They're travelling through a sky vacuum that isn't real. It violates natural law." And that would have debunked every single argument they ever had about any moon landing claims without having to look at anything about the cameras, which is what I looked at. I'm like, how did they do this from the ground? So what? If they prove... And that's what happened. I had the process. I went through the process. They explained how it could be done. Therefore proving the moon landings are real. No, it doesn't. Proving that it's capable of happening. All right, well, let's argue about whether or not it's capable of happening. Whether or not we can land a rocket on a bed out at sea. Well, let's argue about that rather than whether or not the place they've just claimed they've been to that confirms the paradigm of a heliocentric worldview is actually real or not. Let's argue about whether or not the rocket's capable of doing that. Like, I can argue about whether or not 1950s batteries are capable of transmitting those distances. And when you lose and they prove it's capable, does that prove that they went to the moon? No. But they'll say it does, because they've won their argument. And the argument was about whether or not the transmission and battery capabilities were up the scratch that could do it in the 60s. Or 50s.
But Saturday they were talking about bouncing signals off the moon and Venus.
Lovely. Venus that they've presumed is the same size as Earth with the R value we've debunked with the black swan. And in a sky vacuum. Yeah. That was quick.
Yep.
So let's stay on this gas pressure for a minute. Gas pressure, can you have it in an open system, or is it only possible in a closed type of system?
To maintain gas pressure, you've got to be contained. Without the container, there can be no pressure. End quote. Conspiracy Cats 2019. Science teacher. Very correct, he was too. You need containment for the gas to press on. It's pressure. Pressing. So if it doesn't have anything to press on, it's just going to keep travelling at high velocity in whatever direction it's travelling in until it hits something.
Right. So now let's bring it down to Earth. Not that we went out of Earth, but scuba tanks. You fill them with a compressor full of air, and the diver enjoys maybe 45 minutes to an hour worth of beautiful oxygen underwater in a closed container. But as the gauge says, hey, you're running out of oxygen, the container has to be refilled again. So the only way you can have gas pressure is within containment. So this natural law, in no matter what example I use, always needs containment for it to work.
Yeah. As Conspiracy Cat so succinctly puts, without the container, there can be no pressure. End quote.
That's why it's the number one killer argument about that black stuff right next to the atmosphere of all their glow pictures.
Yeah. If the sky was a vacuum, the gas we breathe would fill the space. And all the cartoons of rockets, you can show me them all you like, won't mean that they're travelling to Narnia. I mean space.
Okay, so Discord, ballers, are they there? Can we see if any of them want to join and talk?
Got Ed here.
Oh.
No, not again.
Oh, come on, Neil.
As long as you don't circle jerk.
No, if he does, then he gets thrown out. So if he's got to learn like a dog not to pee on the carpet every time.
No ad homs, he's not a dog.
No, I'm saying like.
Not yet.
I have dog. I'm not calling it a dog. I wouldn't do that. But gotta eventually realize if he keeps circle jerking, he's gonna get kicked out.
Can't believe I'm doing this to you. I've been doing it all day. Can we not poison the well? He's only just got it. It's not yesterday.
Welcome, Ed.
Welcome, Ed. Good to have you.
Okay. Hi, Ed.
Thank you.
We got Neil to say hi to you, Ed. That was a victory.
Yeah.
So what's going on, Ed? Do you think you can have gas pressure next to an open vacuum without any kind of containment to create the pressure in the first place?
Well, yeah, but I'm wondering, do you really believe space is a vacuum, though? I've
Space is
heard many
fake.
flat earthers say something
Space is
else.
fake. So you're just asking us what we believe about space. It's fake. He's just pointed out why. You've ignored him and asked us about our belief in this place that we've just pointed out is fake. So we're off to a bad start, Ed. He's just pointed out why and how it's fake. And now you're asking us our opinion about this place. We don't want to discuss Narnia and the whys and wherefores of Narnia. Narnia's not real. Space isn't real. So our beliefs about your belief about space is irrelevant. Okay, Ed? Just get that clear from the off.
Well, it's not irrelevant, because if it's not a vacuum, then why do we need a container exactly?
For the gas we're breathing, it's a necessary antecedent. Without containment, we wouldn't have gas pressure. So there must be containment.
May I add?
Hold it.
I'm sorry, Nathan. May I ask Ed a follow-up question to his follow-up statement? Ed, so are they saying that there's atmosphere up there, so that's why they have specially designed suits and a capsule and they carry their own oxygen to a place that supposedly has oxygen? Is that what you're saying to us?
Wait, what? I never said space has oxygen. I don't follow what you're saying.
Oh, well, you said it's not a vacuum.
No, I didn't say that. I said I heard many flat earthers say it's not a vacuum, and I asked if you were in the same boat as them.
The space is fake.
Well,
there is no
why-
space. I've just said this. Yeah, I know you don't
Yeah,
want to
okay.
use this. I'm answering
Right,
you, Ed.
then it's
I'm answering
clarified.
your stereotyping fallacy. Many flat earthers, that's fascinating. Couldn't care less. That's a stereotyping fallacy. Fallacy number 1 been used already. So no, don't care what other flat earthers say. We say there is no space. It's completely fake. It's like Narnia. Why? Well, because if the gas that we're breathing had an available volume called space to fill it would. It's called entropy. Natural law dictates this. It's inviolable. We have natural law to prove it's not real. So our opinions, or the opinions of other flat earthers, are inconsequential, Ed. It matters not. Shout out to Al Junkie. He says water vapor reacts. Sean Hawkins is not an ASS. Water vapor reacts. Okay. I don't know, man. Super chatting me about the water boy. More than happy to take your money, Al Junkie. Thank you very much for your support. I don't really understand your messages, but I understand certain part of the context. Sean Hawkins, aka the water boy. Yeah, get it. Thank you for the super chat.
So Ed, we are not saying space is a vacuum. That is coming from the ballers. We are saying space is fake. So let's start off good. Let's start off good. Can you have, now that we're on the right road here. So if we're saying space is fake, and are you a baller that takes the other tack that says it's a vacuum? Are you that person? So I know who I'm talking to.
Well, I was trying to get to my question, which is, if you're saying space is not a vacuum,
but can you answer my question?
then why do you need a container?
I've already answered that. He's completely ignoring me, right? I'm not going to tolerate this for the entire show, Ed. I'm going to ask you to repeat it back. Why would we need containment? It's a necessary antecedent for gas pressure that we are breathing. Please, can you repeat that?
If space is not a vacuum,
I'm going to kick you out if you don't repeat it. You've got 2 choices. Ask me a question, or repeat the thing that you've ignored twice. You've asked the same question and I've given you the same rebuttal. You have literally ignored me. So now either you've got 2 choices, Ed. Repeat my rebuttal, because I'm not going to do it 12 times like yesterday. That's not going to happen. You're going to either repeat my rebuttal that you're ignoring, and have repeated twice, to only affirm your question that's been debunked by my rebuttal you've ignored. You can either repeat it or I'll kick you out. That's your 2 choices. So either I'm going to hear about necessary antecedents and gas pressure pressing, or I'm going to kick you out. That's your choice.
I already heard what you said.
Bye-bye.
I'm asking a
Bye-bye.
follow-up
You're going.
question.
You're not repeating what I asked you to repeat. You're not acknowledging it. You're ignoring it. So now you can fuck off. I'm sick of these assholes. He thinks that by saying, I haven't ignored it, that's going to be an acknowledgement of the rebuttal that he's ignored twice. No. I want to hear him repeat my rebuttal. From now on, if I refute something, you're going to damn well state it back to me. I'm not going to go round in circles a dozen times with someone completely fundamentally ignoring my demolition of their fundamentalist zealotry, only to assert their question or challenge us with a new claim or do any of the other obfuscation tactics. I'm tired of it. Sick of it. No, if we refute something, I want it acknowledged from now on. If you don't acknowledge it, I'm going to kick you out. The rules are going to tighten. We are the minority here. The majority of you are complete clowns. I'm talking about the general consensus public. You're clowns. You've been fooled. Now, we're here trying to widen your eyes. If you want to come here and ignore us pointing out where and how you're wrong, then go away and stick your head in the sand somewhere else. It's so rude to just completely disregard and ignore a rebuttal to something that you've stated. Now, we don't get away with that. If something's stated to us, it's absolutely, we're held accountable indefinitely. And our responses are held up to task constantly. We make a rebuttal, and it's entirely ignored, only to have the same crap assertion made 12 times after the rebuttal, with it repeated back to them 12 times. Now, I'm not going to stand for this crap. Why should we? We're the minority. If we've got a good quality argument, it should be acknowledged. Should be commended.
I take back my hello.
See what he was You could see what he was doing, because when I asked him just to state what it is, he asks a question. He wouldn't state what it was.
They'll only communicate when it's in line with their fundamentalist religious zealotry. If you have a conversation, an opener, a point, a discussion about anything that is not in line with their fundamentalist zealotry, it will either be completely ignored or talked through. So the justification for ignoring it is that they didn't hear it, and neither did the audience. Shut down communication because you don't need an audience hearing how terrible it is that you can't have gas pressure without a container, when your question on the opposing side is, well, why would we need a container then? Yeah, that's an outrage. You want to keep on that line of nonsense that the dude in chat's punting, this geometric horizon is real guy with his head in the sand, in regards to the Black Swan arguments, punting? Oh, well, if we can't have gas pressure without a container, why do we need a container? It's essentially his double-speak nonsense question that Ed thinks is clever. Well, I've answered you, Ed. It's not like the chat when you can just ignore all rebuttals and claim one hasn't come. I can point it out verbally to my audience because they've heard me say it.
It was like this in my chat half hour before the show here started. So he's just in a very trollish mood today, and he's like enjoying lying and deceiving to you right on the spot. It's pretty disgusting.
Well,
Ed,
my puppy example wasn't too far off.
Yeah, pretty close.
Should have never said hello.
I heard it when you
much
dropped
for
it
the
in. It was
welcome.
funny. I just didn't want to laugh and ruin the moment, but it was funny when you dropped it in earlier. I take back my hello. Hey, Chemo, you got talked about in the pre-show. Well, that's jolly good to hear. Oh, well, you know, we like to promote you and you're making us laugh, Chemo. Good to have you.
Yeah.
Oh, mic rustlings. Hey, Chemo.
One sec.
No worries. So just as a refresher, Chemo has used the same SpaceX rebuttal to the ballers that were discussing it 50-1 on his show, or 49-1, or whichever number it is to 1.
Oh yeah, I'm here now. Can you hear me?
We can. We were just talking about you watching SpaceX with the ballers and then going, yeah, but your sky vacuum's a violation of natural law, and then just watching them all fall to pieces.
Yeah, I mean, as we were going through just the whole thing being a CGI thing, then it was like, we can't forget, well, hey, everything that we're watching is breaking all laws of science as we're, so I just thought I'd pick that up, and they just couldn't handle it. They couldn't watch it. They couldn't bear to hear, like, as I was going through it with them. I'm sure you heard, they're like, oh, I'm going to mute Chemo. I don't want to hear what he has to say, and I was like, yeah, you can. I mean, I understand their pain. I was just, as you were saying, just if it was Ed or somebody, I was thinking, but I'm here for the therapy. If you guys cannot handle losing the globe and you want to transition smoothly from globe to flat Earth, come and talk to me, and hopefully we can find out why you're struggling to cope with the loss.
Let's give you a proper plug. So that's Under No Pressure is the channel name. And it's Spurs Chemo's channel. He's there to give chemotherapy. So Be Here or Be Sphere. A lot of the shows called like 49-1 on Under No Pressure channel. So check it out.
Thank you, Nathan. Thank you very much.
Yeah, I like the way you jumped into their little party and was that nagging voice behind their head.
Yeah, because they really believe it, right? They're like,
Yeah.
Because just before that, I mean, I didn't even realize it was on. I was talking about something else, and they were like, hey, Chemo, SpaceX is launching in 2 minutes. I mean, they were talking about it throughout the day, but I wasn't like, I didn't know what time. They were like, start in 2 minutes. So I was like, okay, let's have a look. And then straight away.
Do you enjoy that SpaceX, brother? the magical rockets that appear. You gotta love that stuff, bro.
It's so hard for them to hear. They don't want to hear it. They don't want to hear it's fake. They don't want to hear it's CGI. I said we're probably going to see another mouse or something like this. just calling it all out, and especially the science that did it for them. Because they'd have to explain how is it going into a region where violate, science as we know it. So it was fun.
Ed Freeze.
Did you guys manage to watch it? Yeah, you watched it, Nathan, or you didn't bother?
I saw.
I didn't.
saw
Just one sec. I just want to shout out Al Junkie. Hold on. His bloody super chat scrolled off screen now. Ed Freeze can't be freezened with hashtag rebuttal ignorer. Thanks for the super chat, Al Junkie. Sorry, go ahead, Spurs and 10th Man. My bad.
Well, I'm just saying both of you. Does any of you guys watch it? SpaceX live.
I don't watch these religious broadcasts. Same goes for my neighbours. So when it launched, I was shrink wrapping up some of the toys that we put in circulation to put them in the garage, and I'm taking them down, humping and dumping all these toys. And as I'm there, I see all these people gathered around. I'm like, what's going on? And my direct neighbour, the woman who lives beneath me, comes up and says, we've just watched the rocket launch. I was like, oh, that's lovely. And I carried on, went about my business. When I came up to stairs, I said to my wife, they're having a religious meeting downstairs.
Yeah, it's like a big gathering. Yeah, that's what they're going to worship their idol, I suppose. Their phallic pose.
Oh, no. Heliocentric. Their religion is a sun-centric religion. They have the sun at the centre, and they've got a penis rocket flying out. And they all watch it. But they're basically being told what heaven is, aren't they? Their heaven is outer space, the sky vacuum. Now, the fact that the Western world aren't overtly told that they're part of a religious belief is neither here nor there. People partake in religious meetings like that one that I witnessed. I don't watch them. I don't have a TV. I'm sure you could find it online, but do I go out of my way to watch these things? No.
Same as that. I mean, I didn't even realise they were like, it's on, pay attention, everyone. They wanted everyone's attention onto it. So I was just like,
I watched it while watching your show. The notification came up and I said, all right, what's going on here? So I was taking a rest from work. And what made me keep watching your show was because it reminded me of a time where two football teams were playing here in the United States, the American football. And I was the only Los Angeles Ram fan. Everybody else was the other team's fan. So I was like you against all those guys, my team against their team. And and of course my team was, whooping them. And so I was just commenting and eating popcorn and laughing and joking and punning. And I said, oh, Spurs is doing kind of the same thing. He's the only flat earther on this on this thing.
On the scene.
He's ruining their game.
I'm just going to do another shout out because I missed one. Sorry, my bad. I didn't see your Sleeping Warrior super chat. So Bleeding Warrior says, shout out Sleepy Warrior for buying subs and lying. I asked last time you super chatted, do you have a receipt? Can you show this to me? Prove he did it? Until then, it's just your speculation. But if you want to give me money to speculate about Sleeping Warrior's subs buying, alleged subs buying, then feel free. Give me money. I really appreciate the support, Bleeding Warrior. Thank you very much for the super chat. Sorry to interrupt Spurs and 10th Man again.
Can I say something?
I think
this
Spurs
is
was
where
about
they're
to.
at right now.
Again,
buying subs.
Yeah, pay to slander. This is all about pay to slander.
Okay, as it's getting mentioned.
Anyway.
Yes, Neil, you can. Just give me 10 seconds. From what Sleeping Warrior explained when we were interviewing, I can't remember what we were doing. I think we were talking about Dr. Danny Faulkner. He explained that he suddenly gained I don't know how many, a lot of subs. I have no idea how many the amount is. In any event, he said he gained some subs and he hadn't, warranted any growth. He hadn't been shouted out by anybody. There was no reason to gain these subs. So his natural assumption is someone's bought me subs. Since then he's being accused of lying and buying subs. So his logic, Sleeping Warrior's logic when he explained it to me, was that somebody's bought him subs so they can accuse him of buying subs and lying about it. So there we go. And someone's obviously spending money to super chat me, so I'll talk about it. So there we go. That was what was explained to me. I know Sleeping Warrior pretty well. I've known him for a while, and I'm going to state this right. And if I'm proven wrong, man, I'll eat my words. But there we go. there is no way in God's green earth Sleeping Warrior would spend money on subs. I know Sleeping Warrior pretty well, and I'm going to say that. Hand on heart, I know he has not bought subs. That is the last thing he will spend money on, ever.
Oh, come on, man. You know Sleeping Warrior is all about the statistics and the popularity. And
He couldn't care less. He doesn't even look at his statistics for YouTube. I nag him to do so because I'm all about the statistics. Check it out. Sleeping Warrior Super Chat. $2. Let's see what he says. Or £2, I should say. Thank you very much for the Super Chat. I did not have subsexual relations with that service. Okay.
Nice.
Very good. Very good. Yeah,
You
let's
trolls
just
need something better to do after losing your poor geometric horizon. Y'all better find something. Y'all need a hobby or something.
Yeah, it's a red herring. Let's attack Sleeping Warrior for a bit rather than attack the fact that we don't have a geometric horizon or that we don't have a space or that we're not spinning. Yeah. Meanwhile, Sleeping Warrior's bought subs. All right. Okay.
Exactly.
Well, technically, Sleeping Warrior with that super chat is kind of gaslighting himself there.
Nah, I don't think so. So, do you mean the other guy, the sock Sleeping Warrior? What he's called,
No, the real
Sleeping Warrior or something?
No, he's repeating a statement from somebody historically that is very known to be lying about that right in that moment. So it's like he's like kind of gaslighting himself for fun.
No, it's just I call that reverse psychology or reverse psychology humor. He's dropping it in so that you could do exactly what you've done, which is imply that by utilizing that particular quote, he's actually therefore guilty. No.
Yeah.
But
I think you're onto something. I think that the previous super chatter was right.
Oh God, no! I think Sleeping Warrior is on a different level to most people, and therefore what you have explained is probably a surface level thing that he thought about before using that quote, knowing Sleeping Warrior, because he works on multiple levels. He's a smart guy.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, enough buttering up Sleeping Warrior, who is ace. Subscribe today. Check him out.
Now, it's an interesting repercussion after he does an egg test to have someone buy him 200 subs.
Was it 200?
Yeah, it was 200.
Man, 200's a lot of subs. I don't know if I can't.
They're nobodies. They don't exist.
Well, it's just that's about the number I gained when Eddie Bravo shouted me out. So, that was on a decent sized channel, and he literally told the audience to come and subscribe to me. So, something significant's got to happen to gain 200 subs at this level. Don't get me wrong, PewDiePie's probably getting 200 subs a second, but at this level, you've got to have something actually happen to have that happen.
I can't miss this. So did Eddie Bravo get accused of buying you 200 subs?
Well, no, but it's just obvious that's why I've gained a load of subs. Because somebody shouted me out. So, the Dr. John D video came out and he gave me particular appreciation and I gained half a dozen subs. And you go, well, now I know why in a short period of time I've just gained a few subs. Because somebody's shouting me out and telling people that I'm great. Which I am. Subscribe today. Shout out to Unitox Femu, who says, I only debunked vacuum. Let's speak about the container.
Getting back to Neil.
Oh, sorry, Neil. Jesus. I mean, I had you in my back. I knew all along. Go ahead, Neil. I was just waiting to reintroduce you to the conversation.
Just wanted to say they tied that rocket launch in with all the riots going on in America, that there is hope for mankind.
Oh my God! You got something. It's Antifa. Antifa's against rocket launches. So I gotta be stopped, guys.
Antifa? I have no idea what you're talking about.
Look it up.
Good.
That's what's going on in America right now.
This is the
Riots
riots.
in every city.
I'm not
So-
Mr. Current Affairs.
But
I'm sorry.
There's hope for mankind. 'Cause
The riots,
are
and this is
going
it.
to
Someone fill me in.
Yeah, it's
It's,
Antifa riots. It's a political group of sort of anarchist communists that are sponsored by certain types of individuals that are notorious. And yeah, they've been going out on the street, so it's like a new project. Like go and harass shit and riot.
It's really
is it-
serious though, because
just-
they're affecting every city. And Trump, he's gonna unleash the military. Basically, that's what he said. If the governors and mayors are not gonna stand up to this, he's gonna bring in the military. So it's getting a little scary here.
So my first question, when
Oh,
I think it
wrong,
was
right?
Neil that told me about this yesterday. Was it you, Neil?
Yeah.
My first question was, are the riots actually happening? And you kind of confirmed, and I've
Yes.
since.
Yeah, they are.
Yeah, I know that bit. I was going to go on to the next bit, which is it organic or controlled op? In other words, is this of the people, or is this of the government so that they can instruct a high degree of martial law?
That's what
I
I'm
would say
confused
it's a
about, 'cause
combination
it
of
seems
both.
like it could be either one.
I've seen shit to make me think this is being staged, but it's also using the emotions of the people to kind of spark it.
I see.
They're trying to reignite, well, not protest, but rather riot culture. And it's they are given incentives, and the police is kind of working sneakily with them. Seems.
Hold
It's
on.
really-
That sounds like wild speculation. Look, thank you for filling me in on what it is, but at this point, I just want to, draw a line under it on
Tell them
account of the
about
fact.
bricks, chocolate.
I don't want to move on to any wild speculation about this. Number one, I don't want my
It's not
YouTube channel
wild.
shut down. Number two, it's speculation anyway. It's something I wouldn't probably tolerate to begin with. But yeah, thank you for filling me in. I am extremely, what's the word? What's the opposite of savvy? Ignorant when it comes to current affairs.
Oh,
Yeah, it's
Nathan,
best not to talk about it.
you never know anything, do you?
It's not that. It's just when it comes to things like this, if you look into them, I often find that further down the road you find out that they were toxic to begin with. It wasn't organic, and you might have got behind something and feel very stupid for getting behind it, or someone, or some narrative. And generally I find it all poisonous, so I try and avoid it. But occasionally, like now, there's an overlap in the subject that we're talking about. You know, there's an overlap with SpaceX. It's relevant to the subject matter in terms of the religious viewpoints. So got a couple of super chats to just shout out, sorry to break up the flow. But thank you very much for the support. Unitox Femu again. He says, SpaceX breaking news. First dinosaur in space. No, they're polluting my kid's mind with that nonsense. Dinosaurs in space is definitely not new. Anyway, also shout out to Bleeding Warrior again, who gives me more money to poison the well. He says, Sleeping Warrior bought the subs. Younger, all wrong. Younger, all wrong. Anybody understand what the hell he's babbling about?
Yeah, poor English.
Maybe he's trying to say you are all wrong. I don't know.
A spell error on a super chat. If you're paying,
It could
right?
be spell correct.
If I ever super chat anybody, now I am tight as poor and tight. So if I do super chat, it's normally very strategic at the right time when there's other people super chatting to get a roll going, things like that. But I will agonise over those words if I'm paying for them. You're not going to get a typo in one of my super chats. I'm paying for the thing. It normally only says in his ace or something. You know what I mean? Anyway, we kind of got off the beaten track here.
Maybe you want to focus on where your geometric horizon is, or maybe your axial rotation, or your gas pressure without a containment. Something. Focus on something.
You don't need
else.
a geometric horizon.
Hold on. We're still on the
What's wrong
SpaceX
with
thing.
you guys?
I wanted
They
this.
got weight.
Hold on, I
Weight
wanted
is
to keep
the
this as a SpaceX thing. So you're saying that it's brought hope to all mankind, which is very similar to the words they claim are on the plaque on the moon, right?
Yeah.
We came in peace for all mankind. Those are the closing words on the plaque on the moon.
Yeah.
What? Back on the moon?
Am I wrong? Am I making this up? I don't know. Maybe I've made it up.
You mean what
Oh
Neil
my
Armstrong
gosh.
supposedly said?
Yeah, I thought that was
Okay.
part of the moon landing narrative. We came in peace for all mankind.
They're gonna. I just thought of something funny. So one of the astronauts in this Narnia narrative, they got swung a golf club and hit a golf ball from the moon, and it just took off in the vacuum of space. And I'm just thinking one day it's gonna re-enter Earth's atmosphere and hit some guy in the head. There's too much funny stuff going on. Plaque on the moon, golf balls.
Yeah, if you're new to this subject and you ever want a good giggle, just go and have a look at the moon landing footage. Literally, just go and watch some of it. It's absolutely shocking.
But it worked pretty well back in the day, you know, on the really small screens. And screens were new anyway, so it really drew everybody in. And they were just so baffled by the event in the moment that they really didn't have any reference frame to judge anything about it at the moment, you know?
Exactly. How are you going to know what it's supposed to be like in space? You just got what's on TV. You got these pictures like from what is it? DIT? It's not DITRH. Darth. DA.
Yeah.
Right.
DARTH, I think.
No, yeah.
We know who you are.
Yeah, when you look at their official pictures of the lunar lander, all these curtain rods and aluminum foil, it's so funny. I've shown that to people, and they said, "You're faking that picture." I go, "No, this is from them."
I just went through that. I just showed somebody that the stupid little aircraft, or the spacecraft connected to the ISS, and somebody was like, "What is that?" I was like, "This is supposed to be the craft that brought the guys to the ISS." They're like, "No, it's not."
No.
I'm like, "Wait a minute! You're the one who believes this. I'm showing you. This is what they're showing you." He was like, "No, that looks like a model."
That's my favorite thing
it was
ever.
the model they used for in case that it didn't work out, you know?
That's my favorite thing ever. Like do you remember Starman? When Starman came out, I would show that to people, and they'd demand that you justified how real it was because they're telling you it's fake, and you're like, no, this is actually your religious belief. This is actually what you're supposed to believe in as being real, and they argue with you about that bit. No, I'm not supposed to accept that as real. That's not supposed to be real. That is actually supposed to be fake. No, honestly, this is punted to your side as being real. You find yourself arguing about them supposed to be accepting it as real?
Nathan, I had to actually show them the YouTube, like show them this is coming from SpaceX. I didn't make this up. This is directly from them. I had to go to their live feed to show this person, and he was like, "Nah, that's crazy. That looks like a model."
Maybe that's how the magic trick works. Maybe that's the whole point. I.e., you start justifying to your opponent why they should be believing it, because the average Joe Normie, 95% of the Western world, looks at that and goes, "No, it is fake." And if they're in an argument with a flat earther, the flat earther ends up taking the position to argue about how they should be accepting it as real.
Yes, that is the madness I've been going through the past 2 days with the SpaceX.
It is kind of true, isn't it? How bizarre the roles have just switched around, that we're trying to prove to the ballers that their religion, that they're supposed to think it's real when we know it's fake, and then they're trying to argue, no, it's all faked because they can't show us the real thing because of technical issues or whatever kind of and that's what we end up with.
Right, I'm just going to do a well-timed shout-out to Unitox Femu again. Thank you very much for all the support, Unitox Femu. Can I ask you something about my claim? I'll just say that again. Can I ask you something about my claim? That's the standard. What a good piece of timing. So there's Starman on screen, and you show that to a normal person, and they go, "Yeah, of course that's not real. Don't try and tell me that's real." And you go, "No, that's what you're supposed to believe in." And you get into that, like I say, this weird magical argument where you end up as the person on the wrong side of this argument that's claiming this is real, what's on screen now, and the person that's supposed to believe it's real doesn't, and you're trying to explain to them how they're supposed to believe it. But you never get to the stage where you say, "Well, yeah, once I get you to understand that you're supposed to believe this is real, I've then got to pull apart why it isn't." It's so convoluted.
I've had that exact same convo plenty of times, man. Like, it's such a weird position to be in. It's crazy. I know we do it a lot here, but when you're having that kind of conversation with normal people, like, that are not into this that much, it's so weird because you're like, yeah, this is your story. The thing that you're telling me I'm crazy for not believing, this is it.
Yeah, this is
And you
the
see
bit.
how you don't believe it? Do you see the irony in that?
Yeah, exactly. I think it is a
insane, man.
clever magic trick. You know, there can't be a coincidence that you've got Elon Musk himself saying, you know, it's real because it looks so fake. That's got to be part of the magic trick. You know, somebody somewhere, a clever psychologist, has worked out, if you make it a little bit more fake, that will actually work in your favour, because the people trying to debunk it will end up arguing for the person who's supposed to be believing it but thinks it also looks fake. You'll have the flat earther arguing, telling him he should be understanding how real it should be. So you never get to the point where you say, yeah, it looks fake because it is fake. We've already covered that base with the man who's made the footage, i.e. Elon Musk, or the, credited person, the credited source. Al Junkie, thank you very much for your super chat. He says, astronauts hit a black hole in one, swing and ISS, or miss. Swing and miss, spelled with a capital ISS. So astronauts hit a hole in one, swing and miss. Thank you very much indeed for your super chat, Al Junkie. Also, shout out to James Richard, who also hits the super chat, who says, if I can scroll up and find it, here we go. Space, it truly only exists within the imagination. Really? Let that sink in. Yeah, absolutely. Space is not real. It's the equivalent of Narnia. Only exists in your imagination, people. You don't have to like it. Well said, James Richards. Thank you very much indeed for the super chat.
Well, Al Junkie, you had a good pun there. Well done.
Yeah, but Unitox Femu, if we're going to rate the super chats, can I ask you something about my claim?
That was good, yeah.
Yeah, that's exactly it, isn't it? Right, I'm claiming this space vacuum. Now, by way of a stereotyping fallacy, most flat earthers think blah, 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 blah about my fantasy of a sky vacuum. How do you justify blah, 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 blah about my fantasy of a sky vacuum? Because that's my claim. How do you justify my claim?
We're like, what vacuum? Remember that's your claim, guy?
Right.
Oh, man.
Yeah, we're
Well, they do
riddled
this all
with
the time.
fallacy. Sorry, go on, Owen.
They do this all the time. They do it with the supposed sun on the flat Earth model nonsense also, on a daily basis. They just strawman you, tell you, like, yeah, this is not working like it's supposed to. Like, they're basically telling you, we can't model this. I don't understand your model. I've made this mistake in your model. You explain that to me.
Yeah,
And it's
We
effective.
don't have them. We don't have a model.
No, that's what Owen's saying. He's saying you've made a mistake in this model. We're saying you have.
Yeah.
Yeah, basically.
Well, that's why. That's
it's a-
why. Now that I got it correct, Chaiki owns these two quotes. One, Chaiki said, "If it's not a globe horizon, no horizon at all." Then he said, "If gravity is not a force, then there are no forces."
Yeah, it's a burden of proof reversal fallacy, and a false dichotomy, and a stereotyping fallacy, all in one when they do this process of getting you to justify their claim. So that's essentially what they're doing, especially when they do it by way of a false dichotomy with a reification fallacy of two models, one that they're holding up against us, like we hold an azimuthal equidistant projection in our camp here. We don't. But by way of stereotyping fallacy, they'll assert that we do, and they'll try and burn it. So, no, we won't tolerate that. With that, I'm going to say a huge, massive, enormous thank you to both Discord and G+ panels for making this live show possible. If you are watching on the Nathan Oakley premiering stream, then stay tuned, as there will be an after show to follow. I've been Nathan Oakley, and I'll see you all in the next video.
Oh, what a day! What a lovely day!
Changes, like, pretty crazy.
I can almost see what you mean, Armin. Yep.
Like,
I see what you
we
mean.
end up by accident defending our opponents because they just don't understand their position.
Exactly. That's where I say it's a very clever magic trick. That's why it's real because it looks so fake. That's why that was said.
It's pretty ingenious, really.
Yeah, they're crafty bastards, aren't they, Arwin?
Yeah.
Yeah. How much time do I gotta waste? Trying to convince somebody that something that's fake to them is real, and then to prove that that same thing is fake.
Yeah, you've got it in one. Exactly. Whereas, in that instance, right, it's no different. The rules that we discussed in the pre-show and live show are no different. So let's say you're fixated on debunking the fact that Starman's tyres would explode, for the sake of argument. Well, you've got to convince them first that they're supposed to be believing it to convince them that it wouldn't work because of the tyres exploding out in the vacuum. However, if you say, this is fake because this black bit's a vacuum, and in your worldview, the sky is this black bit, this vacuum, and all of the gas below it, below Starman, on that supposed to be Earth that you think you live on, that would all fill the space. If they turn around and go, I don't believe this is real, and you go, no, it definitely is fake. In other words, you just immediately go to affirming their belief that it's also fake, and you go, like what's on screen now. So you got me CGI'd into a picture of Earth from space, right? So there's me with the sun behind me. Oh, what was that? Somebody starting a premiere. Mute your videos, people. Anyway, so this black bit is supposed to be a sky vacuum. Now, I'm literally going to debunk space with something that's clearly fake. Clearly, I'm in it, right? I'm here in this picture. So clearly this isn't real. This has obviously been CGI'd. But it doesn't matter. The representation of Earth with a sky vacuum next to it, the sun being the thing that we traverse around on this ball, and this is just perspective, the sun's very far away and massive. This black bit's supposed to be space, a sky vacuum. Well, the gas down here, that would all fill this space. Second law of thermodynamics violation. What's that? You want to argue about how fake I am in the picture? Yeah, I am, yeah, that's right. Nevertheless, the sky is not a vacuum. So that cuts all that crap out about how I need to prove to somebody that this picture with me in it is real. I can forego that step. We're both under the understanding that this is a fake picture of me in space. But space itself, the premise that we both understand this picture being fake is based on being in space, is fake by definition, because you can't have gas pressure without a container. The gas we breathe, this stuff down here, that would all fill this space by way of entropy. So you don't need to convince them that their fake pictures should be accepted as real, so I can debunk how they're fake. Just go straight to the actual argument. Nah, the sky's not a vacuum. Gas would fill the space.
Okay, so what you're saying is they introduce an extra mistake in there. So when people talk about it, they just get hung up on the obvious mistake, like a technical thing that could make it fake, instead of it looking really real, and then you both getting to the argument as to why the whole thing is fake. It never gets to that. You just get hung up on some technical mistake that makes it look fake, so the conversation never leads to why the whole thing is fake.
Precisely. You and Chocolate, exactly. You both got it exactly.
I think I heard Chaiki.
Yeah, you heard me.
Yeah, Chaiki, welcome to the show. What's up?
Welcome.
It's all good. I just said that the sky is not a vacuum. That's correct. It's
yeah, we know.
Space.
That's awesome.
Claimed to be, though.
Welcome to Flat Earth.
Yeah, it's claimed to be 10 to the minus 17 torr, the strongest vacuum ever. That's what it's claimed to be. It's not. Welcome to Flat Earth.
It's lowest pressure. It's not a vacuum.
It's called outer space. It's a type of vacuum. Like high vacuum, low vacuum. Yeah. They claim it's the most powerful vacuum there is.
No, it isn't a vacuum. You don't have a vacuum without pressure.
You said we know. The sky is not a vacuum.
What
we know.
do you base that on?
Yeah, there's low pressure. Yeah, no vacuum. Yep.
What are you basing that on, Chaiki?
He's basing it on Chaiki because NASA says
what do you
it's a
mean
vacuum.
what I'm basing it on?
You still need a container.
If you try to create a vacuum on Earth and take it to space and open it, nothing will rush in. It's not a
Oh,
vacuum.
open it.
It's simply
Open
low
it,
pressure.
suggesting that you would need to close it to have the vacuum in the first place, huh?
In an
Right,
environment of
Chikey?
pressure,
You just said if you
gas.
create a
Yes,
vacuum and then take it to space and open it, right? So you can't have a vacuum without a container,
That's right.
huh?
You can't
you
create a
can't have
vacuum out of
vacuum surrounded by gas, pressured gas, without the container. In
How
space,
do
you
you open
can.
gas?
How did you get it in
Huh?
there?
Did you
How do
understand
chocolate?
what Ed asked you?
Jackie, hang
Did
on,
you
hang on.
Oh, did
understand
you
what?
Chocolate said,
understand?
Yeah, I
hang on.
understand it perfectly.
No, you said, hang on. You said you're going to create a vacuum here on Earth and take it to a place which doesn't exist, but we'll go with your narrative. And then you're going to open it. And then you said, what would happen? Then Chocolate said, why do you have to open it?
Because it's closed.
Oh, so you have it in a container?
Yes, but there's
Stick it
nothing
up.
in the container. Maybe the container
Exactly.
would be even in higher pressure
Wait a
than.
minute. Wait a minute, Chikey. If there's nothing in the container, why did you use a container to hold nothing?
Because there was pressurized gas around it.
Oh, so you need the container to stop the
And what
pressurized
happens
gas
when you
going
open
into
it?
the
Hang
container.
on.
Correct.
So what?
So what would happen when you open that vacuum chamber?
Nothing.
The gas would fill the space. That's what would happen. The space in the container would be filled with
Nothing
gas.
would happen to the vacuum chamber. So why did you create the vacuum chamber? What is it?
No, just
Vacuum
for
is. What is a vacuum?
it's a very
Right?
low pressure of gas
Oh,
surrounded
so
by
you created
pressurized.
you created a chamber that's got no pressure in it, and you're saying that when you open that chamber, nothing will happen when it's surrounded by pressure on the outside of it. Do you believe that?
In space.
What?
Yeah, but you just said space was lower pressure, so
Fe-
that lower pressure would go in there.
It's a vacuum.
yes,
Space is
once
claimed
you
to be a
take
vacuum.
the
Space is claimed to be a vacuum, right? You've got rough low vacuum, which is atmospheric pressure to about 1 torr, medium vacuum 1 torr to about 10 to the minus 3 torr, high vacuum 10 to the minus 3 torr, 10 to the minus 17, 10 to the minus 7 torr, ultra high vacuum 10 to the minus 17, keep saying 17, 10 to the minus 7 torr to 10 to the minus 11 torr, and then extreme high vacuum 10 to 11 or 10 to the minus 11 torr, and then beyond that, outer space.
yeah, just a low pressure.
No, I've just said it. Vacuum. Low vacuum, medium vacuum, high vacuum, ultra high vacuum, extreme high vacuum, outer space. That's the terms for vacuum and how much they've got going on inside them.
Listen,
So back to Ed's question. Did you
So
understand?
outer space is claimed to be a vacuum. You're saying no, not a vacuum because I define vacuum unlike the definition of vacuum. Oh well, just because you define vacuum differently doesn't change the fact that the sky is claimed to be outer space a vacuum. The most powerful of all vacuums. More powerful a vacuum than an extreme high vacuum. It's more powerful than an extreme high vacuum. The claimed sky vacuum. Now it isn't, because if it was, the gas would fill it. So you're right in one respect, we definitely don't have a vacuum of the sky called outer space, which is more powerful than an extreme high vacuum. More powerful. That's what it's claimed to be, the sky. Definitely isn't, because the gas we're breathing would fill that space.
And don't try to run away from your narrative, because there was a whole weekend full of nonsense where the people who think they work in a place that doesn't exist tell you it's a vacuum of space. I heard vacuum of space plenty of times, right? Because they just sent a flying penis up there, right? So don't run away from your little narrative that it's a vacuum, because that's what it's supposed to be in your story, buddy. Okay? Because the people that send stuff up there, that's what they tell you it is. Okay, copy that.
So
Does Chaiki know what a microstate is?
Probably not. You any good
do
on the
any of
second
you
law?
have something to say?
Even if it wasn't, you still need a vac. You still need walls. You still need containment.
Yeah, you do. It's
Yeah,
necessary
that's the
antecedent.
question.
No, yeah, you do. It's the
That's
necessary
the
antecedent.
question.
Yeah, you can't have gas pressure without the necessary antecedent of a container, Chaiki.
Look, apparently
listen
he knew that
carefully.
though, because he created a vacuum chamber.
Yeah,
that said,
don't
if
talk
I take
and
it
don't
somewhere and
talk
open
over
it,
me
won't
and
be a
say
vacuum
nonsense.
anymore.
Hold on,
nothing
Chocolate.
is-
Hold on, Chocolate. Go ahead, Chaiki.
So if there is no vacuum outside, there is no space. Why
Yeah,
do
that's
you
correct.
need the container for?
Yeah, that's correct. There is no space. We must be contained. That's correct. Welcome to Flat Earth.
Contained why? There is no space.
Because without the
Do you
container,
not
there can be no pressure.
Wait a minute. He said there's no space.
But there
Space
is no
technically a volume,
vacuum.
right?
Necessary
So
antecedent.
why?
Learn what antecedent means.
So that's all
Yeah,
really nice,
antecedent
Jackie, but
mean that
what
you
are
really-
you basing that on?
Hold on. I want Paul to ask his question again. Paul, can you ask your question again?
Yeah, Chaiki, isn't space a volume? Technically, they're kind of synonymous or synonyms.
It's
Did you hear me?
He's asking if space is a space.
Well, space is a volume, right?
what do you mean is a volume? Volume is
Well, to have space, you have to have a volume. Like I have a water bottle. There's space inside that, so there's a volume inside that. So space and volume.
inside, but as far as we know, there is no limit to space.
Oh, so you have no limit to the volume, right?
As far as
Okay, so if there's no limit to the volume, and gas wants to occupy all possible volume in a container, how do you have gas pressure?
if gas wants to fill all the container, why do we have a lower pressure at higher altitude?
Yeah, we have hydrological cycles, gas cycles of all descriptions. It doesn't change the fact that you need containment. Let's not move on to pressure gradients. That's a delta of the question you're being asked by Paul.
Yeah, the delta. Why do according
Yeah, I've just
to
said
your
no.
gas laws,
That's
there is
you
no-
ignoring me, isn't it? Me saying no. We're not going to move to the delta. We need to establish first how we have gas pressure in the first place, not how we have gas pressure gradients. That comes after we have gas pressure. And without the container, there can be no pressure. So let's not move on to, oh, we've already got pressure, and I'm going to assume a sky vacuum. But let's talk about gradients for a bit. No, we're not going to do that.
Am I
No,
correct
it's your
in
assumption.
asking,
You had
did
to
he
have,
describe it as a
pressure.
limitless volume?
Say again, Chocolate.
Yeah, so
That is not an assumption.
Did he describe it
That's a
as a limitless volume? Is that what I heard him say?
Yeah, he thinks space is an ever-expanding volume. That's right.
Why is the high pressure of Earth not expanding into that, your words, limitless volume, Chaiki?
Gravity.
Why isn't the gas we're
And
breathing
here we
filling the
go.
space? That's what he's asking. Same question Paul asked.
well, wait a minute though.
Yeah.
Let's talk about gravity for a second. The only way to stop something, you got to have a force applied to stop something from moving. Gravity is not a force. So how does gravity, that's not a force, stop something from expanding?
Who says gravity is not a force?
Brian Cox, George Musa.
All the same
Yeah.
people that
So
gave you
can
the
you
story told you it's not a force.
The authorities, the storytellers, your priests.
So you can parrot, but you cannot explain.
Sorry, Paul's question is,
What?
if you haven't got a force, how can you stop something from expanding? That's his question.
Then Paul needs to explain why there is.
He needs to explain what, sorry?
If gravity is not no, I don't have to explain very much at all. If gravity is not a force, it cannot stop a gas from expanding, because you need a force to stop the gas from expanding. So gravity is not a force; it can't stop the gas from expanding.
I say it is a force.
It's not a force you need for that, it's a container. Sorry, Paul, you don't need a force for that, you need a container. They claim a force to get around it, a force that's not a force that you can think of as a force, but the necessary antecedent for gas pressure isn't a force, it's a container to press upon. That's what stops it expanding.
Correct. And gravity wouldn't stop entropy anyway.
In fact, the pressure is by definition the fact that it's not expanding. It's stopped, it's achieved pressure because it's pressing now. Now, if it wasn't doing that, it'd just be expanding and getting thinner and thinner and thinner and thinner and thinner until it reached something to press upon.
Gas have elastic collisions. They've got to collide with something to move it in a different direction. So, what is it colliding with at the when I look at what is it colliding with?
Ah, I love it, Paul. So the question is, what's it colliding with at the top? Sharky.
What is pressure?
Yeah, the gas pressure, i.e. gas pressing on something. What's it pressing on at the top? You're asking us about containment and why would it be required, and we're saying, okay, well, in your worldview there isn't any containment. Not that we're asserting anything about the sky here. We're just declaring natural law and the necessary antecedent for gas pressure, which would be a container to press upon. But given that you don't think that's necessary, what would the gas be pressing on the top? Up near the sky vacuum.
Pressing?
Yeah, what's it pressing on?
No, what does press?
Yeah, the question is, what's the gas going to press on? At the top?
Yeah, I know what you asked, and I'm asking what is pressure? What does pressure?
The force exerted on the walls of a container.
Thank you, Nathan. So we concluded it's just a force.
What, that we have a container?
Here,
so what you're saying is
we've heard the word
we know,
force, and
okay?
he thought he had to go ahead.
So, yeah,
it's the force it exerts on the walls of the container, not a force, Chaiki. Good try, but no cigar. Okay? Gas pressure is the force that the gas exerts on the walls of his container. Do you understand that?
No, it exerted everywhere.
What do you mean,
no, you don't understand that.
What do you mean, no? Without the container, there can be no pressure. To have gas pressure to measure as part of a system, say with a barometer, if that's what your next line of attack will be, you must have containment to have the gas pressure to measure. And your barometer effectively becomes part of the system, effectively part of the walls to measure the pressure. But without the container, there wouldn't be any pressure to measure in the middle of the pressure with a barometer. So you still need the necessary antecedent. It's required.
The barometer, part of the walls?
Yeah, effectively, yes. Yes, that's correct. Part of the system. Without the walls of the container in the first instance, the barometer would be useless. Because you know what the gas would do? Well, it would expand in all directions at high speed to fill the available volume. And according to you and your religious worldview of a sky vacuum, you've got a never-ending, constantly increasing volume for that gas to fill. So it would just all disappear into the volume if there was no containment. Because you require containment to have gas pressure. It's the end of your religion of a sky vacuum. It's standing in stone cold violation of natural law. The second law of thermodynamics. Entropy will and must increase. Gas will fill the space if there's a space to fill.
What if I apply the force on the air before it hits?
Say that again, Chaiki. Hold on, 10th. Say again, Chaiki.
What if I apply the force on the air before it reaches?
Paul already established this. What force? Hello? What force are you applying?
He said gravity. He's a circle jerker like Ed Freeze.
We explain that your priests, the people who are in authority when it comes to this narrative of gravity, make it plain. It's not a force. Part of that aren't you understanding, Chaiki? You can think of it as a force, though.
My understanding is that you don't understand what they say or what.
I don't understand. Quote, George Musa, 2019. Gravity is not a force, but you can think of it as a force. Or Brian Cox. There is not really a force of gravity at all. End quote. I do understand what they are saying. What they are saying, quite explicitly, is, quote, gravity is not a force.
Calm down, Nathan. I know you.
Sorry, are you going to tell me that I don't understand? I do understand. You do not have a force to exert on this gas to stop it expanding in all directions as per the laws of entropy to fill the volume it has to fill. You don't have a force. It's not a force. I do understand. You don't understand.
Well, I got a quote for you.
Just hang there.
Right? You're Mr. George Mooser.
If they jump,
you're Mr. George Mooser said, we can, we do, we must consider Newtonian gravity as a force. Now listen very carefully to the next part, Checky, right? It doesn't mean it really is one, but we don't necessarily have to work at the really is level. End quote. What does that mean to you, Checky? Could you explain to us what that quote means?
What was? Can you repeat?
I will repeat the quote for you. Quote, we can, we do, we must consider Newtonian gravity as a force. It doesn't mean it really is one, but we don't necessarily have to work at the really is level. End quote. George Mooser, 2019. What does that mean to you, Chaiki, when somebody says something like that?
Yeah, that means that if you not really into science, you don't understand Einstein equations, don't buy.
He didn't mention Einstein or equations. He mentioned working on the really is level when considering things that are not forces as forces. That when you do that, you're not working in reality anymore. That's how I perceive what he says. I don't know where you've got anything about Einstein and equations and not bothering if you don't understand maths. You seem to be reading something into this quote that doesn't appear to be in the quote. That would be working at the really is level and considering non-forces as forces.
I've been asked what he said. You want it in short? In short, what he says?
No, we've got a quote. We don't need you to paraphrase it. We've got a quote. You think we need you to translate it? No. We are asking you what that means to you. Does it mean anything when somebody says that you can consider a force when it's not really one, but it doesn't matter because we're not really dealing in really is kind of things? That's me paraphrasing what he actually said. No mention of Einstein or field equations or maths or understanding of those things. Moron. Don't you understand words and their meanings? Because a quote had words and they had meanings and you did not understand them.
Real quick, it's funny how he's saying we're not understanding what he means because what it means is not what it says. That's kind of what the baller's tactic is. The words don't mean what they really mean. That's what he's always saying.
No. Can you please repeat the last part?
We don't have to work on the really is level.
Yeah, that part.
Yeah.
It
We
doesn't
do.
mean it really is one, but we don't necessarily have to work on the really is level.
You understand this, Nathan? We
All
don't
right. We work
really
on the really
need
is
to
level here.
work on the
Natural
really
law, on the other hand, is on the really is level. As in, absolutely inviolable and always applicable. Not, well, we may consider the second law of thermodynamics, but we may not because we may be talking about fantasies of Narnia and space. But we might consider natural law that's inviolable. We might not. It just depends on whether or not we're working in reality or on the really isn't level.
Look, if you don't understand what
Checky,
it's not really force.
real quick, Checky. If you were a big fan of watches, right? And I came up to you and said, I have the most expensive watch in the world, right? It's called a Rolex or something, right? And I said to you, you have to consider this watch as absolutely real. But then at the same time, I tell you, but it's not real. Would you consider the watch real, Checky?
If it shows the time.
Okay. So I say,
after I've told you it's the most expensive watch in the world, that it's a Rolex.
It's $5 watch.
Right. But you want to pay me for this most expensive watch in the world because that's what you think it is. But then I turn around and tell you, but it's not really that. But I'm still going to charge you as if it is that. Would that be okay with you, Checky?
I don't wear a watch, so
Oh, Jesus.
Oh,
Christ.
my God.
I'm done. I'm done.
yeah, but that was an excellent example, Chocolate, so I'll just summarise that. Someone comes up to you and says, you can, you must, and I do consider this plastic Casio a Rolex watch. You must consider this Casio a Rolex. Now, it's not really a Rolex, but understand that we're not working in the really is level here. But just consider it a Rolex.
No, an equivalent would be this is a Casio watch. It tells the time in this way. But if you don't understand it, you can consider that it tells time in this way instead. They both tell the time and both give you an accurate result. You just don't understand the real way it does it.
That's great. Let's go on and on about the analogy some more.
Forget it.
Listen, even if I gave you Wonder Twin powers activate, because you don't know what gravity is, you can't prove it. It's like invisible three-ton gnomes. But for sake of argument, I'll give you Newtonian gravity at 1,000 times force. I'll also put on top of that Einstein's bendy space-time. I'll give you all that you want. It will not affect entropy one iota. Okay? We good?
Straw man.
Thanks.
no.
No. Good answer. You must be you pre-law?
Could guy who said straw man, could you point out the straw man, how it was used? Thanks.
I don't need to. Anyone with intelligence.
Well,
No, you
that
don't.
was your claim,
Chocolate,
right?
Chocolate. He's just made it clear he doesn't need to back his claim. Okay? Enough.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. Forgive me for asking to back your claim. Thanks.
But the gradient.
So, new guy who's entered the conversation. Given that you can't have gas pressure without a container, it's a violation of natural law. Why do
Are you going to try and set me up for another trap, Nathan?
I'd like to finish a
this
sentence.
sounds
That'd be
like
quite
we got a
nice.
clown in the house.
Maybe you could finish a sentence. Yeah, that'd be nice. Thanks. Given that we can't have gas pressure without a container, why do you think they're showing you pictures from a place that doesn't exist with this SpaceX launch? Why do you think they're lying to you?
Who's they?
The people who are filming from a place that doesn't exist.
Oh, the people. Yeah, the people, Nathan.
Oh, brother.
Oh, wow.
Is this the level?
Oh,
gosh.
Is this Quantum Eraser? Come on, Quantum. Yeah, let's have it.
So maybe you could answer my question.
It's not a question, Nathan. It's just it's absolute. It's conspiracy. Is that even a word?
Share your pain, buddy. Share your pain. We're here for you.
Do you want to? Okay. So you think the second law of thermodynamics is a conspiracy?
You're using our priests to prove our priests wrong. It's just crazy, Nathan.
Am I? Second law of thermodynamics. It's just a natural law. It's not come from any priesthood. It's just inviolable natural law applicable always. It's not come from a priesthood. I'm asking, given that natural law applicable always.
You say it's a priesthood. You say it is.
I say natural law is applicable and inviolable and applies always. Yeah, I do, because it does.
You've also said it's our priests spout it.
No, that's a genetic fallacy.
I'll stop using this bollocks about fallacies.
No,
one cares about fallacies.
Mate,
Were you not the one that said straw man and then didn't want to back your claim?
Perfect, Chocolate. Did you hear what Chocolate just said to you? Sorry, mate. What? Stop all this bollocks like claiming we're using straw men? That kind of bollocks.
That is a fallacy.
Yes, that you didn't back your claim on before when you called it out. And now you just say, "Oh, stop using all these fallacies." And the first word you said was "straw man," guy.
But no one
Who are
really
you kidding?
understands these fallacies. Just
You're a
speak in
clown,
plain
bro.
English.
Not doing well, mate.
John, can you
At all, bro. You should. You need
wanna
some
say
rest before you
something?
come in here.
Hold on, Chocolate. Hold on. Go ahead, whoever it was.
John, do you want to say something?
What do you want me to say?
You came and say Nathan this, Nathan that, but what? Flat Earth, globe, what?
I hear a lot of pain. What's going on?
Do you have any claim?
Yeah. Sure.
Look at Chikey.
I mean, if you guys have run out of defences for proving your heliocentric
You came
religion-
here to I don't know, to
I
say
chimed
something
in
to
when that
Nathan,
bollocks
Nathan,
about
or
This guy,
came
hold
up.
on. Right, one at a time.
bollocks about the watch.
John, go ahead.
That's when I chimed in.
I've cleared the airways
Okay,
for
can
you,
I
John.
try with, can I
Hold
try
on.
Nathan with you?
I'm clearing the airways for this John guy.
Analogy about the watch.
Nathan, can I try with you?
Hold on. We're talking about
Okay,
the
sorry.
second law of thermodynamics.
No,
Okay,
you
well.
started talking about the second law of thermodynamics.
Yeah, I did. Yes.
Yeah, but we were talking about a watch analogy that was bollocks.
Oh,
Let's go back to
let's spend all our time on a watch analogy.
It's a great
that.
analogy.
Oh, just because it was bollocks, you want to move on from
No,
it.
it's a great analogy.
If no one had pointed out the bollocks, you'd still
Okay,
be on
point
it.
it out. Point it out.
I already have.
No, you haven't.
Hey, Asswipe. If I went up to you and said, "I've got a real watch, but it's not a real fucking watch," and I tell you, "But you have to
Yeah, but as Chase
accept
said,
that
if
it's
it tells
real,"
the time,
Is
it's
it a
shit.
real
Who gives a
watch?
shit?
Are you freaking
Mate.
kidding, dude?
Hold on, Chocolate. Mate, just let him make his example. Don't say who gives a shit through the top of him. Just try and have a back and forth with him. I know it might be hard for you.
Oh,
Just
like
try.
you do, Nathan.
Try.
You shouted over Ed for about
Or
20
attack
minutes
me.
before and
Or
yesterday.
attack me like a total asshole. Chocolate's trying to have a discourse with you.
This is an absolute joke. Go on
Yeah,
and argue
and you're the
conspiracy
star.
cats again on a neutral forum. and
You're
you'll get
the
destroyed again.
star.
You'll get destroyed
Mr.
again.
Fallacy, genetic fallacy. You don't even know what fallacies are.
You came here to destroy somebody.
Oh, me fallacies.
Really?
Me fallacies.
There you go. Just mocking, right? Go back to romper.
Oh, mocking is that a mocking fallacy? Is
Shut
it?
the fuck up. Go back to romper room.
Useless, mate. Is this the best you guys have got to throw at us?
Yep, that's all they got.
Yeah, this is
Useless.
pathetic, guy.
Yeah, he's
This
done.
is your first time here. You're not doing too well.
He's done. You don't need to talk to him anymore.
Good. Thank you.
Okay, second law of thermodynamics. Does it allow for a
Does it allow for a gradient? Yes, it does.
where?
Where?
Are you looking it up for the word gradient?
Yeah, he is, yeah.
Ask him what it is.
What does?
What is the second law of thermodynamics?
I don't need to say what it is. You brought it.
This is something I've struggled with for a while, right? But I now think I can summarize it in one word. Can I try?
Sure.
Change.
Yes.
Is that accurate?
Yes.
And if I was to qualify it slightly more, I'd add over time.
Yes.
That's it.
He said change over time. Now, that's very general, but it works.
I know it's general, but having sat through, I don't know how many hours of MIT lectures on the second law of thermodynamics to try and get a good grasp of it, by the time I finished all the lectures, other than getting a really good little soundbite, I didn't feel like I could summarise it concisely. I thought there's a lot to this. It's not simple. But to concisely summarise it, change. Over time.
Yes. Yes. Time's redundant because everything's in time, but yes.
Yeah, agreed. But that's how it's qualified, right? It's proportional to time.
Yes.
The amount of change would be proportional to time.
Yes.
I see. So how all that you say that it's against the second law of thermodynamics is?
What?
I don't know.
Say it again clearly. Speak up. Be distinct. Thank you.
You said something about something that it's against the second law of
I said something about something. Yeah, you're going to have to get a little bit more detailed.
I don't remember what.
You can't remember what I said, but you're going to rebut what I said.
You can't quite remember what you said, right? Toss him a bone, man. Give him something stupid so we can attack it. What's your problem?
Gas pressure without.
Okay.
You want us to summarise the argument. No worries. You can't have gas pressure without a container. It's the necessary antecedent for gas pressure. A container to press upon. If the sky was a vacuum, that would be a space for the gas to fill. The gas doesn't rush into the sky vacuum because it doesn't exist. It's not real. Nature abhors a vacuum. Entropy would increase. There you go.
But it's not rushing anyway, so...
Yeah, therefore there isn't a sky vacuum. Not therefore second law of thermodynamics has been violated because I point at the sky and say, yeah, it is a vacuum. No, the second law would be in violation if the sky was a vacuum because the gas we breathe would and must fill the space. That's entropy increase. Over time, the gas would fill the space. And that time period would be very short. Sky is not a vacuum.
So why doesn't...
Because we must be contained. We must have containment.
Yes. You said it will rush and fill the container. So why doesn't it?
Does.
Low
We've got
pressure
gas.
below does
it
not...
does. What are you talking about? Why doesn't it? We are all breathing. It has.
This is painful.
It's already inside the
Very
container.
scary.
Hold on, I just checked.
Keeping up?
Hold on, I might be wrong. Yep, there's still gas pressure here. Now, if I go up Everest, it gets thinner because it's not produced at ground level. But for it to be here, we'd need containment. And if the sky was a vacuum, that would be a vast space for the gas I'm breathing, yep, still breathing it, to fill. And fill it must. That's an entropy increase.
There's no vacuum at 20,000.
Correct. There is no vacuum of the sky. That's absolutely correct, Sharky. With that, I'm going to say a huge, massive, enormous thank you to all of you who tuned in on the Nathan Oakley Premiering stream for hopefully smashing the super chat, liking, commenting, sharing, subscribing, and all that good stuff. Of course, a massive thank you to today's Discord and G Plus panels for making the after show possible. Be sure to check out nathanoakley.com and the Flat Earth Debate Forum to keep up to date with the community debate. I've been Nathan Oakley, and I'll see you all in the next video.
Oh, what a day! What a lovely day!